Pickle, let's go to the hotline. And let's bring in another person who is contractually obligated to hang out with me in broadcast settings. We're joined by the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer, who joins us every Tuesday here on Texas Football Today. It's the great Craig Way. Craig, happy, and I can't believe I'm saying this on January 12th, but happy final week of the high school football season.
You know what? This did not dawn on me until the third quarter of the national championship game for college football last night. And it hit me, and then like about 5 minutes later, I saw Pickles tweet about this, that the fact that the college football season was finishing before the Texas high school football season. I thought that is so 2020-2021 now, and just amazing. And somebody asked me on my show this morning, has that ever happened before? And I said that, to my knowledge, it's happened one time. We're celebrating 100 years of high school football in Texas. Go back 100 years. January 8th, 1921, Houston Heights and Cleburne. There was only one bowl game played that year, and that was the Rose Bowl. It had already been played on New Year's Day. So, again, as we celebrate 100 years of high school football, here's another mile marker of it, the fact that you've got Texas high school football only for the second time in history ending after the college football season.
Yeah, well, it's
on brand
finally,
for the year.
Finally, we get to end with some actual excitement. And in fact, we will end the whole season. I want to go from big to small school. We'll end the season with the what I would say is the main event. I know the UIL, the reason they like to flip the divisions year in and year out, but I personally prefer whenever we go from smallest all the way to largest. That's what we're going. So we close with a 6A Division I state championship game, pitting Southlake Carroll against Austin Westlake, and you just hate when there's a story with a game with no storylines. I know you talked with Todd Dodge earlier today on your show. Obviously, a lot of conversation about the head coaching matchup in this one. I'm interested in what you gleaned from what Coach Todd Dodge, I should say, said on your show.
Well, it'll actually be tomorrow. Wednesday is my day with Todd.
Good job, Tim.
We do it every Wednesday.
My bad.
Yeah, Wednesday. However, I do have a bit of information to glean that I gleaned from that. They did a little bit of a media availability yesterday. Mm-hmm. So the local TV stations are going out and visiting with Coach Dodge and players, and clearing the deck, if you will, so that Westlake can get back to the business of preparing to play a state championship. It is the inevitable question. It's the question that we were kind of bemusedly asking ourselves way on back when it looked like Westlake would play Carroll on Texas football days. Now it takes on a real meaning. Who is Elizabeth Dodge rooting for?
Right.
Who is Todd's wife rooting for in this game? And Todd had a pretty simple answer for it. He said, well, she'll be wearing Westlake clothes, but she's wearing a Southlake Carroll hat. So make of that what you will. And I have submitted, Tep, the thought that I think someone should make one of those split combined jerseys for her. Half of it can be green, since Carroll is the designated home team for this game, so they're going to wear the green jerseys, green with the white, and then the other half, be Westlake, that white jersey with the blue numeral. On the back, it can be Dodge spelled out, with the white numeral followed by white lettering for D-O, and then split the middle D between green and blue, or black, and then finish it with the blue lettering. Give her one of those split, sewn together, created jerseys. He did say this too, Tom. This week, preparing my guys with everything we've been through to try to win the state championship, and we want so much, and I want it for them. Mm-hmm. And then somebody asked him, well, what happens if it doesn't work out? He said, I will be disappointed for them and for the program and all that. I will also be very, very happy for Riley. So, I mean, that's just a dad, being a dad. He said, it's not often when you trade film or whatever, and you're on the phone with the other coach, that you end the conversation with the coach that you're opposing for the state championship with the words, love you. And then he says back, love you, Pops. It was, love you, son, love you, Pops. that's the way it went. They visited yesterday and had their conversation, and now they go about getting ready for this game.
Yeah, I got to say, I know Texas high school football coaches are close, and they all, there's a lot of mutual respect among them. But I imagine that's probably a first that they've told them I love you at the end of the conversation. So then
it's a rarity.
So now you're which games are you calling this week?
5A Division I and both 6A games.
Both 6A games. So then let's matriculate then to the 1 o'clock game on Saturday with Katy and Cedar Hill. The fourth time in 9 seasons that these two teams are going to play for it all. Obviously, all eyes, I think, are going to be on Caden Salter, the quarterback for Cedar Hill, going up against this real vintage Katy team with the running game and the defense and stuff like that. I know you're kind of going through your notes and trying to get a read on this game and what you're coming to expect. As you've looked at these two teams and looked at this matchup, and I know that you called those games back in whenever they had their fantastic trilogy back in the earlier part of this decade. Do you see any sort of similarities between those two teams, those teams that played in that trilogy, and then now these teams that are going to be playing on Saturday?
I do see some. Remember DeMarcus Lodge playing for Cedar Hill?
I remember.
And how mobile and versatile he was, and you had that Katy defense that had those guys that were like 4-year starters and had played 60 games in a Katy Tiger uniform. There are some similarities there. The common threads are explosivity on offense for Cedar Hill with some challenges occasionally on defense. I mean, Joey McGuire would be the first to tell you because they had a couple of high-scoring games with Katy in there. They had a 34-24 and a 35-24 game in there. One they won, one they lost. The other one, the middle one, was a 23-20 ball game, or the last one. And so, that was when their defense played a little better and got turnovers. And that was a big part of those games back then from 11 to 13. But in all of those cases, and really, if you go all the way back to Joey's first state titleist team in 06, with William Cole, obviously, being the trigger man and being one of those top 100 kids that we saluted this year, there's always been that explosive trigger man quarterback for Cedar Hill, and clearly Caden Salter fits that description. And then you are so spot on with this Katy team, how they punish you defensively and then just kind of run over you offensively with the Davis brothers. This is going to be one of those deals where can Cedar Hill get a couple of key stops? We were asking those questions, 7, 8, 9 years ago. Can they get a couple of stops defensively and keep their offense on the field long enough? But you have a defensive genius in Gary Joseph, and the way that Katy's defense just punishes the opponent. So those are the rub I see as it goes into this.
We're talking Texas High School Football State Championship games with the Hall of Famer Craig White here on Texas Football Today. Get involved with the conversation at #TF Today. Finally, Craig, you are going to be calling the 5A Division I State Championship game, pitting another Austin area team versus another DFW area team. The Cedar Park Timberwolves taking on the Denton Ryan Raiders. The only battle of unbeatens we have in this quartet of title games that we'll see out there at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. I think a lot of this game, and I'm interested if you agree with this, I think a lot of this game comes down to whether or not Cedar Park's offensive line can hold up against what is that big, ferocious, athletic defensive line for the Raiders. That's the matchup I'm going to have my eye on. Is that the one you're watching? Is there another one that you're particularly interested in?
Well, I think you're exactly right in that, how can Cedar Park give Ryder Hernandez enough time to work the magic that he does? For folks who don't know, the numbers speak for themselves, 58 touchdowns and 2 interceptions the entire year. But a lot of that was against teams that their offensive line clearly could handle. And that included Manville, and that's why I was interested to see how they would do, and they were able to have to strike back, and they had to adjust a little bit. I did visit with Carl Absek yesterday, and he said there was – and I did go back and I DVR'd the Scoreboard Live program that I missed because I was in wild and wonderful West Virginia on Saturday, but you and Rick and the crew obviously did a great job on that. But the thing that I remember in watching the recap of that, and Pickle knows this as much as anybody, that Carl Absek was saying, we didn't panic. We just had some simple things to go over, and that it was very methodical. And he's not the most rah-rah fired up guy either. He's very methodical and measured, but he knows how to light the proper fire under his guys, which they had to do in the second half offensively to give Ryder Hernandez and an offense time to operate. It's a different animal this week. There's no question about that. And I know a lot of folks are interested to see how Seth Hennigan and Kiori Hicks and the rest of that offense operates against the Black Rain defense. That's certainly an attractive matchup to watch. But I'm with you, Tep, in that, if Ryder Hernandez is given proper time, he can hurt you. And he can do the things that would keep Cedar Park in this football game and make it a really good game. I think it is going to be a really good game regardless. But therein lies the rub. It's enough time going to be given there for the Cedar Park offense to execute the way they do when they're really, really good. Ryan is just so good at taking that away from its opponents.
He's Craig Way. He's a Texas High School Football Hall of Famer, and he will be on the call for 3 of the 4 state championship games on Fox Sports Southwest this week. And, of course, hear him on the horn in Austin every morning. That's the jolt you need in the morning to get you going. Start your morning with some whey. That's what I always say. How about some hay?
Boo.
Craig,
okay.
Appreciate your time, my man.
Hey, by the way, no pun intended, today is the day, because you ask me quite frequently about University of Texas football.
I do.
Since I do their games. And Steve Sarkisian will be introduced at a news conference this afternoon on the UT campus, and then I have a sit down with him after. It'll be interesting to see what Coach Sark, the new head coach of the Texas Longhorns, has to say later this afternoon.
I will certainly be listening. Craig, appreciate your time, my friend, and I will see you out there at the stadium at some point.
Happy championship week, everybody.